Okay, second video blog. Talking about Ulmer's chapter 6. He starts out, he focuses a lot on the idea of the pidgin language, which is a language that I wikied it because I didn't really understand it, but a language used when two parties want to do business and they don't have a common language, like a shared language. They have to like piece together something, and it's called pidgin. Pidgin sometimes can evolve into Creole, which would be like a full language. And Ulmer says that he wants to find a Creole passageway between literacy and electricity, or yeah, and that brings us to the idea of liminal, which is something that I also had to look up. It's the transition between two states, and it said that it could be psychological, metaphysical, any of those kind of things. But in our book, it refers more to the state between conscious and unconscious. And then also between literacy and electricity, that intermingling that happens in between, which goes back to Ong's second orality, where he talks about literacy and orality mixing together to create a second orality. Like, because we have the technology that we have, we can sustain an oral culture where earlier we would need literacy to like be able to communicate the ideas that we want to be able to communicate. But now we have email and all that kind of stuff. We can constantly communicate. We don't have to just, or like we can call and do that kind of stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be just text. But back to Ulmer. He also goes on to talk about the idea of fetish, fetishizing stuff. It was kind of it took me a little while. I had to look it up and kind of understand exactly what the idea of fetish is without the connotation that we have today. But obviously Ulmer states that it relates to confidence and security. It also relates to the idea of like feeling or felt, as he talks about in his book. Fetishturgy is a play off the word dramaturgy, which is the art of dramatic composition. And so therefore fetishturgy would be like the art of fetish composition or writing or communicating in a way that expresses that. I thought it was interesting because we do have such a strong connotation with the idea of fetishizing now, to think of it as, while the idea of fetish was becoming bad, the idea of primitivism in art is roughly the same kind of thing, and it's seen as good. And also that the root of the word fetish means to make or to fabricate. I thought that was really interesting. I also found the story about the page, as the story about writing being a type of fetish. The tribe that thought that writing and writing down literacy was a type of fetish. It's really interesting. And he also ends on the idea of Dan Aykroyd and Durant, and how Aykroyd fetishizes Durant. And I think that kind of relates back to our last chapter where we talked about impersonations, and how some of the people in the anecdotes in the last chapter kind of found some emotion or gained security from thinking about certain characters, certain movies, whatever. But yeah, super interesting.